Welcome to the Everyday Awesome Project, where we bring you inspirational stories and game-changing strategies to live your most awesome life. Hey, superstars, welcome back. Polly here.
Sam Pruitt. What's up, beautiful humans?
Hey, guys, we've got a cool topic. Miss Pruitt, my special co-host here, has a birthday this week. Yay! So,
Yes.
and she and I wanted to just share with you some of the things that we find are important and maybe not everyone does in their life around their birthdays. And maybe we'll reflect on some of the past birthdays we've had, things that you've done, I've done, and just want to share with those with you for inspiration. And then we're definitely going to leave you with a little assignment, right, my dear?
Yeah, and why birthdays are an amazing time to, it's about you. It's your birthday, to be clear. So do some reflection. Maybe take some inventory, take some time, take a pause, do some reflection. Where have you been? Where are you going? And maybe it's an opportunity to pivot and make some changes, set some different goals, explore different aspects of yourself, or set up some new habits, rituals, and behaviors that are going to serve you over this next year and hopefully the rest of your life.
Yeah, for sure. You know, one of the things you and I've been noticing and paying, so under the umbrella this year of our pivot year, right? Just that's our general theme, pivot programs, our pivot year is, looking at ways that maybe you're living a life that isn't serving you or relationships that aren't serving you or something is just like either a big or a little off in your life, right?
Even flat, maybe just flat.
Yeah, true, true. And we talked about how, end of the year, beginning of the new year type thing. It's a great time. People do a lot of goal setting, a lot of like reflecting on, oh, time's passed or whatnot. But so's your birthday, right? And what I love
Birthday
about
time is even better.
yeah, for sure, a whole new year, right? That's your
It's a whole
technically,
new year. Yeah, so it's technically your personal new year.
yeah.
Okay. And there's no BS like buying presents for people, spending money you don't have, going to relatives' house you didn't even like anyway, whatever. All the stress of like the end of the year,
Mhm.
that kind of coming out of Christmas, total zombie mode, going into New Year's and, starting it off kind of desperate for change. This is a completely different setup for success, I think.
Yeah, it's
Birthdays.
self-directed. It's a self-reflection.
Self-directed.
Yeah, it's self-directed. It's like it's your special time of the year, right? So tell us, share with them. Can remember I've participated in at least one of these shenanigans with you. I forget if I think it was your 50th year, but what do you do or what have you gotten in the habit of that makes your new birthday year special for you or that time of year?
Yeah, so, my story of coming ex-couch potato, coming from a couch potato to Iron Woman and then Ultra Woman and all that kind of jazz, getting healthy mentally, physically, all that. Somewhere along that line, and I can't tell you what birthday it was, but when my physical and psychological, emotional state shifted
Mm.
into a healthier way of being in the world, I realized my birthdays belong to me. And it's funny because you and I were talking about this. I can literally think of very few birthdays, definitely prior to being even like 35. This is a little bit alarming for me to actually think about and probably say
Yeah.
out loud that I enjoyed or
Mm.
even felt like it was actually my birthday. That's
Yeah.
weird, by the
Right.
way.
It's
Yeah, and
like,
it's because of many reasons.
yeah.
I was in a family unit that was dysfunctional. I was living an unhealthy life. There's so many reasons that it wasn't feeling good and working the way I would like it to be, but it's almost like I was disconnected to that person. So when that number rolled around, it was either like not a big deal at all and almost just blown off, disregarded by others or me. Or there would be an attempt to have a birthday party that was so disgenuine to
Hmm.
either how I felt, what I wanted, who I was in the world.
Right.
So
Right.
somewhere that all changed. Probably when I blew some shit up, lady.
Okay, gotta change some stuff here. And I
Yeah.
love, as you were saying that, I was like, damn, that's true. It's like our parents, we as parents, whatever, make a big deal out of, the first birthday and the second, and then it carries on, sweet 16, maybe your 21st birthday. Maybe your 30th, people like start to fear, but I remember at that, yeah, in your 20s, you're like, oh my God, I'm over the hill, 30 kind of thing, right? And then it's almost too like society, especially as women age, it's not special anymore, an aged woman in our culture, whatever that perspective is. And you and I are like, embrace that shit. We're like the opposite of that. We're like, no, take that on. How we are in fitness is way better than I was in my 20s and 30s, like 40s, 50s. Like, look out, man.
Oh, definitely. We're only getting better with age. We're definitely like fine wine. But that's a mindset shift also that's required not only by the individuals, but by society. Ageism is real.
Mm,
And also with the birthday shenanigan piece of it, why are people spending their birthday doing things they don't even want to do?
mm,
Or things that are not truly a reflection of them. Why? Because it's going to make my family happy if I go do this thing, or it's going to make my friends happy if I host this party, or whatever, all this outside external stuff. And I think what we're really here to deliver today is an opportunity for the listeners to be like, remember, your birthday is about you, and you can do whatever the hell you want, or you can
mm,
do nothing at all, if that's
mhm,
what you so choose. But
mhm.
we're encouraging really to take the moment and kind of reflect. So that's a long way of saying at some point, I decided to take my birthday back.
Yeah.
Hey, this is mine. I'm going to grab it back. And I did get into fitness, health, all that kind of stuff, found endurance sports, etc. So I would do however many miles my birthday was in an activity, in a physical activity.
I
So
re-
some of the things I've done a lot of, running the miles. That's kind of a common thing. But for my 50th, it was super fun. I did an adventure day. You were part of that. And
Mhm,
so I started at my house and I rode my mountain bike to
mhm.
the gym. I was going to CrossFit at the time.
Yeah.
I, which was in another town. So I rode my mountain bike all the way to another town, went to CrossFit, did the CrossFit workout that included
Mhm,
running, lifting weights, doing all these insane things, dragging sleds up and down the street, whatever insanity I totally loved. My son met me for that. And then
mm.
I got back on the mountain bike, rode several towns away to meet somebody for a kayak adventure, you. And
Yeah.
we went kayaking a couple miles around the bay, that kind of stuff. Then got out of the kayak and then went trail running. So basically, this thing just kept taking on a new life as
Right.
I moved around the county, literally,
Yeah. Yeah.
until the very end, which of course was always finished with fish tacos and beer.
Tacos. Yeah. I was just
I
gonna say.
mean,
Yeah.
it's the
Because
right
it's
thing to
your
do.
birthday. Yeah. Because it's your
It
birthday.
literally was all the things that make me happy. And I'm sure,
Mm.
oh yeah, I actually started. This is so funny. I forgot about that. I was interviewed at a coffee shop on my way to that gym for some local news channel thing. I just had that flashback because, of course, I stopped
Oh.
for espresso and had a latte. So, all the things that I so, so, so love that are huge
Yeah.
reflections of who I am in the world and with people I
Mhm.
absolutely adore. I didn't need
Yeah.
100 people at my birthday party. I needed some very particular people to be with me on this grand adventure.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
done things like that. And then this coming weekend, I turned 55 this weekend, and I'm doing a 100K bike race in Big Bear, and I'm currently training for my Iron Woman. So it
Yeah.
just feels very Samantha,
Yes.
which last
Yeah.
time I checked, that's kind of what it's about, people.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and it's and it's important to do it. And so I'll contrast that with how I've made
Yeah.
my birth. So I don't have quite I definitely don't have the do my birthday in miles kind of game that you're up to. And I love that. I love participating in yours. That was super fun. Well, one of the things I started when I was in my 30s. So for 30th, 40th, and 50th, I was traveling overseas, international, a nice trip. So when I was 30, I actually was in Venice in the morning and Florence in the evening, which was cool, like on a train. That was amazing. My 40th, I was in Bali for 2 weeks, and my 50th, I was on a cruise ship, a little small cruise ship in Croatia. Just magical. And so, and 60th, I don't know exactly where that's going to be, but it's going to be international something. It's
Mhm.
just my theme. And so I think it's just about, like you said, I love those three words: reflect, prioritize, and pivot, right? So we don't have to
Yeah.
wait till the end of the year. You and I do this constantly. We
Yeah.
had a session we did not too long ago about like clearing the house, clearing the decks, right? It's like take the time to make sure that what you're doing with your life and your time, your days, your minutes, your hours is intentional for you. Like, are you doing what you want to be doing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I wanted to share that I sent to you this weekend is I sat my ass down, and something I started last month was 10 new things, right? Because I love variety. I love, it just sparks my creativity. It just puts me in little challenges. If I don't get them all done, and I don't even know what they are when I say that, I'm like 10 new things, whatever. But this weekend I sat down and I said, well, what if I did 100? And so like, what if I had a list of 100 that I could just start picking through? So I started so what I did is I think I came up with about 70 or 80, just some I was looking on the
Wow.
internet and I was like, oh, these are cool ideas. And some I've wanted to do, or some that I just, as I was thinking about it, got inspired. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to leave the last 20 or so open because I'm sure I'm going to do new things that I don't even know yet. I don't need all 100.
Leave space for the
Yeah,
20.
yeah. Leave space for spontaneity and all that. But be open to new is what that looks like, right? And I have this little list and I can go to it. I'm just, that's how I am. I like to have things like this list, checklist, things to keep me on track and pay attention to.
Well, it's interesting because you hear a lot of people do the whole bucket list thing, but you're not talking about a bucket list or even a fucket list. You're talking about like, hey, I want to try new things, not like sometime in my lifetime I must get to Bali or whatever the thing is. It's like
Mhm.
on the daily or the weekly or the monthly, I can be doing new things. Now they don't have to be huge, they don't have to be expensive, they don't have to shake the
Ex-
planet. So
Exactly.
an example, give me an example of a couple of things on this list.
Yeah, I should pull it. I didn't even think, I don't have it in front of me, darn it. But oh,
Okay.
I do. Hold on, I can get it. But it's small things, right? It's like, so for me, I'm working in my garden. Like this year, I'm reviving my garden and
Oh,
growing new vegetable,
the
right? Like,
butterflies.
yeah, I'm planting flowers for butterflies. I'm growing fruit. I'm growing cantaloupe and watermelon. Never done that before, So it's like I'm counting that. I'm counting that. I had that
Of course.
inspiration earlier this year, and I was really trying to do it low cost or low budget so that I could challenge myself. Not everything has to cost money, and it's more creative when it's that way, and some of it is
Yes.
new hikes, new mountains, new places and one of them was like, because when I do go in my RV, I love playing tourist in a new town. And so I know I'm going to have an RV trip. I don't know when, but in the next 12 months, I'm sure. And it was visit a tourist attraction, which I always like to do. And then I was like, okay, how about visit a wacky tourist attraction? Because I love those
Ah,
too, like the biggest ball of yarn or something like that, right?
oh, that's awesome. That's
Because
awesome.
it gives our life, it's a rudder, right? I mean, life is about what you make it, or they say you're living by default or you're living deliberately. Which are you
Hmm.
choosing, right? And I find that when I used to live out of my inbox, which was whatever was coming in at me, if you will, from work or
Reactionary.
yeah, the world was telling me what to do. And I
Hmm.
stopped doing that. And I started doing planning every week, every quarter, every year. Birthday times are great for this forget about like what does my bucket list have on it? Because one of the things you and I talk about as we've had more and more friends and family members come down with illnesses and serious things are going on, in people's
They are.
lives. And it helps you remember how precious this life is. And I had a aha for myself, like, well, I'm fit and functional and vitality, and I got all this energy and a great body. I'm like, if I don't put priority on the things that are, let's say, are on my bucket travel list sooner, and what if something, people get knee things and problem, whatever. So, like, okay, if I had 10 good summers,
Mhm.
what would those 10 good summers, what would I be up to? And it could just be one big thing, let's say, per summer. But if you don't think about that, all of a sudden you live in a space of regret because you didn't get to do the things.
And when you say good, you mean like physically demanding activities where you have
Yeah.
to be in peak shape, people.
Mhm,
To
mhm,
how many summers left do you have to be in peak shape to do some physical challenge or some big trip
mhm,
that
mhm,
requires you being physically fit?
mhm,
That's a
mhm.
great question to ask. Slightly alarming to think about that.
Yeah. And prioritize the
That'll
first
wake you up.
because we never know. We never,
Yeah,
some people,
yeah.
if you're listening to this, you could be in your 20s, you could be in your 40s, you could be in your 70s. You never know. You might have 100, you might have 50 summers left. Who knows? But you might only have five. And are you making the most? Because I realized earlier this summer that I had kind of had a couple of plans, but wasn't planning too much. And then I went, wait a minute, this is one of my 10 summers. Like, wait a minute, what am I getting up to? Am I prioritizing for myself what's most important. And I don't want to just let it go by, right? You just sort of like, and one of the things that I have found for me, especially as one of my kitties passed away a few years ago, right? So I have two
Mhm.
kitties left. And as she was towards the end of her life, I noticed, well, because she started getting sick, right? And that's where you have you at least have a little warning,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
It's like, oh, maybe we should take this more seriously. Well, why don't we do that all the time,
Yes, yes.
right?
Well, that leads to the reflection I've been doing and the question I posed you when you asked me, well, if you had only so many summers left, or how many summers do you have left to do amazing, challenging things? And we had a great talk about that. And I was thinking, well, on the flip side of that, a question equally important that I'm staring down frequently these days is if you only had so many conversations left with humans.
Right.
I love a good coffee chat with anybody. I love to connect. Connection
Yeah.
is just one of my highest value systems.
Yeah.
And I think sitting down and asking yourself that question as well, what if I only had so many opportunities for these conversations to be had left? Who would I be having these conversations with? How could I make this happen now? There's no guarantees.
Yeah.
And we just let so many opportunities go by, days, weeks, years, to
Yeah.
connect with people that we care about deeply. I mean, this week I've talked to like 10 people because this is so on my radar.
Yeah.
And I adore these people. It's not like I don't care about them and love them. I absolutely do, but I'm off going busy, 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 busy. And then all of a sudden I'm like, holy crap, I haven't talked to that person
Hmm.
in however long.
Yeah.
And I deeply value my relationship with them. I need to make that effort
Yeah.
and reconnect. And that's been really rewarding for me.
And I think sometimes we may get the mental, you know, distortion of, oh, I have too many people I would be calling, or it will take too much time, or, oh, I'll do
Hey,
it next
lucky you
week.
if you have too many people. I have
You
too
know,
many people that I love. That's
I'm
such a
just
burden.
I'm just thinking of the excuses that would show up,
Oh,
right? Oh,
excuse-itis.
if
Yeah.
I called all
Yeah.
the people that I love, oh, that would take forever. If I, what if they wanted to talk for a long time? Or, whatever. Or I've got this,
Yeah.
I don't have time, right? The excuses, whatever they sound like, whatever they might get in your way is, again, it's like, what if that, how long's it been? What, like I've got a friend who passed away, and I hadn't seen him, and just poof, passed away, heart attack, like not that
Mhm.
young, not that old. And it was like surprising. And I was like, guess I won't be having that coffee chat. So
Exactly. Exactly. There's always time, and sometimes it's true. These conversations, especially if you haven't connected with the person in a while. So I've been having a little bit of reuniting with people, old relationships, and yeah, that is more complex.
Mhm, mhm.
And that takes a little more courage, bravery, and then tenacity to make that thing happen. But there's plenty of people. It's a simple
Yeah,
text.
yeah.
It's fun, like share a photo, send a text, thinking about you, love you, whatever, doing this thing right now, remembering you, remember this thing we did together. Isn't that hilarious? Blah, 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 whatever. It can be fun. It can be
Mhm,
short. It can be
mhm,
simple.
mhm.
Send a little card. I have one dear friend of mine who's so good about cards. Like
Mm.
randomly, I'll just get cards in the mail from her, and it's like so
Aw.
beautiful. And she makes these cards. And I feel so incredibly special when they land in my, actual mailbox, not my inbox.
Yeah.
There's a real mailbox, by the way, people.
We
Cards
still
are in there.
use. Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes, and you can do that so simply.
Yeah.
Spend a couple minutes, write a little note, send
You
it on
know,
its way.
one of the things that I shared with you that I've done before, is I came up with this list. This was a couple years ago, and I said, what makes my life sweet? It's like what, just even having the awareness of what I enjoy. Like I have a friend who has I think it's a top 5 things, and one of her things is eating and drinking with good people.
Mm,
Like that's her, she just has that top 5, right? I don't have my top 5, but I made this list, and it's like, what are the things that I value? What are the things that you value? Even connecting to them, because sometimes some of the things on this list are super easy. Like
mhm,
it's not
mhm.
very hard to create those moments or engage with those people or do that thing that you enjoy the most. Like I told you this weekend, it's a little silly, but One of the things that I recognized as long ago when I used to travel internationally was I love just walking the streets of a town with my backpack and a bottle of water and just like looking at sights and taking pictures and whatnot. And one of the things I found is like, I know I'm on vacation when I'm sitting in a unknown park and I'm like kind of having a little mini picnic. Like I'm sitting on the grass. I'm like, at home, I never just go to my local
No
park.
picnics?
I never do picnics at home. I just, for whatever reason. So this weekend, I was like, oh, I have that little tent thing. I have this little beach tent, if you will. And it was a
Uh,
beautiful day at my house. And I was like, oh my God, I could, a lot of people love going to the beach. And I was like, love going to the beach. It's just for whatever reason. But I was like, I would love to sit in my own damn front yard and have a little pop-up picnic. So I put my little tent in my front yard and I could look at my garden and my kitty cats were hanging around. It was like
that's so good.
super bliss day. I was like, this is
So good.
amazing. Yeah, so
That
good.
could be a great birthday. Literally just having a freaking camp out in your yard. Yeah, I
Totally.
think a lot of the things, actually almost all the things we have said so far, except for your big zero birthdays where you travel internationally, are cheap or free.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what they do is they remind you how precious
Mhm.
life is, how fleeting,
Yeah. Yeah.
how incredibly valuable it is. It gives you such a deep sense of gratitude,
Yeah.
right?
One of the things I think we've talked about it before when I have done years of gratitude morning practice, so I sit and I do, a couple minutes of gratitude, reflecting on times and events and people and all these things. And for years, and I just paused one time and I went, boy, you know what? I've never had a gratitude moment be, oh, that big trip to Croatia or Italy or whatnot. No, those were amazing moments or whatnot, but it's tiny micro moments of being with a person over, like you said, over coffee or meeting them here or a little family gathering or whatnot. You know what?
Mhm.
That's what's really special to the heart,
Yeah.
right?
To me,
So,
it definitely is that sense of connection to the self, that
mm,
sense of belonging
mm,
to the world, that sense of connection to others,
yeah,
that where that's where the riches are,
yeah,
right? It's knowing yourself and feeling, hey, I belong here on this planet in this moment, in
mm,
this lifetime, which is
yeah.
kind of happenstance, people, if you haven't checked how babies are made. It's a little bit random,
It's
right? Like here you and I are at the same time
yeah.
traveling through space on this giant planet
Mm,
and happen to have a shared life journey. It's miraculous.
mm, mm,
It's miraculous. So if you don't take the birthday moment to be like, oh, I probably should think about this a little bit deeper, my own existence, my
yeah,
connection to others, my connection to the world, the universe, the higher power, if that's what you're into. If you don't take the time, then it's going to be very hard to, on a daily basis, on a regular basis, have that as a deep part of your sense of self.
yeah. As you're talking, the thing I'm thinking is, so let's say whether this is a birthday for you or not, or you're just getting inspiration from this about like taking more care of what matters most to you in life, right? So, I gave one example. I have a list of what makes my life sweet. What are my gratitude moments, right? I have my bucket list. I have my 100 things to try. You've got, things that you
You do
do.
have a
So
lot of lists.
I like to bounce around. I like variety, and it's not about getting it all done. It's about being aware of it, right? And so it's
Mhm.
about being aware of it and being opportunistic and being intentional about it. So what I realized is, wow, to get 100 things done in a year, I kind of need to be doing two a week. So it just prompts me to be thinking about those things, right? Because otherwise, we just smear through life. You just go, oh, on to the next thing. Tomorrow looks like yesterday. Okay, great. That's a really nice life. Done, 100 years, but check out. Hell no.
Zombie mode. What I loved about your list, and that's why I'm harassing you, is I, of course, looked at them and read them. And then immediately it was like the places you want to go. I was like, well, so make sure you share these lists with others. I was like, oh, she's going there. Well, I'm going to be going to that. Okay, well, that one. Yeah, that looks good. I'll go to that and I'll go. So I thought it was like a menu for me to just pick what I wanted to do. And
Yeah.
I was like, do people share these lists?
Yeah.
Because you immediately, like I said, I'm having a lot of deep conversations with people right now. You have this deeper sense of connection to the other, Oh my
Mm,
God, I want to go there too. Oh yeah, I'm
mm,
interested in that too. Oh, I love that too.
mm.
Yesterday I saw somebody I haven't seen in a long time, but I've been thinking about at the gym. I don't ever go to the gym at that time of day ever. And even weirder, I barely ever go to that gym. I go to a completely different gym. So here I am at a strange gym at a strange time of day. That human's in there working out. And I was like, huh? What? We both have our music on and we're doing our thing. So we reconnected. And then today, when I'm about my business, was in a different town. Here's that human again, walking with two lattes in his hands
Oh,
back to his car. I had
oh.
just gotten a latte at my favorite coffee shop. And I was like, what in the hell is going on?
I
How
love
am I
it.
seeing you twice in 24 hours or whatever the number is? And with this really amazing connection of we love the gym and we love coffee. And we just laughed our asses off, by the way. We thought this was fantastic because we didn't really know this about each other. We
Mhm.
know each other in a different way. And I said, the universe is telling us we
Mhm.
need to reconnect. We've got to
Yeah.
be doing some stuff together. There must be something about this. So, of
Cool.
course, we immediately made a date to sit down and talk deeper about
Oh,
that. But it was like, sometimes the universe goes,
yeah.
hello,
Yes,
hello, pay attentione.
that's true. That's true.
So that was fun.
Thinking of these lists and these ideas, and it's like the way I started thinking about it is like, you know what? These are gifts that we give ourselves, right? So,
Yes.
when we're young,
Like
we
me planning my own birthday party.
exactly like when we're young, it's like notes to Santa, right? Like, oh, I'd love to have these things, right? I don't know about you, but growing up, my parents would ask me, what do you want for your birthday? Whatever. Like, these are my wish lists or whatever. These are wish list things for us, right? Like,
Yes.
this is our gift wish list. Like, I want to be doing these things. Okay, thank you, menu. I can order it from myself.
Oh my gosh. This is it. Instead of letter to Santa concept, it's letter to self. I'm
Hmm.
writing this down because we're going to be doing this. This is definitely going to be a challenge for our audience.
Ooh,
And to do that, we'll prompt them with some questions at the end. You and I have kind of some ideas about maybe some assignments. But basically, the big picture of that is letter to self.
mm, right?
Hey, what have you been up to? Hey, Sam, what have you been up to? What are
Yeah.
you getting up to?
Mm.
What do you want to be up to?
One of the when I looked at lists to get inspiration and ideas for my 100 new things to do, there was this one I was like, oh damn. So I was like, oh damn. So I did this a little bit. So I've done workshops where I go away for a week or something like that. It's intensive, whatever, and you just get all lit up and they're like, okay, on this last day, we're gonna have you write a letter to yourself and we'll mail it to you in 6 months.
No
Right?
way.
You haven't, oh yeah, oh yeah. It was so cool. So
What
like
the hell? This is great.
it was super fun. You'd write this letter and you're all pumped up and you just, like bursting with all the juju that you get from these workshops. Write a letter to yourself.
Yes.
6 months later, don't even know it, this letter arrives. Well, so one of the 100 things was write a letter to your future self in 10 years.
Oh,
And
dang.
I was like, oh my gosh, wow, what
Hmm.
would you even
Hmm.
say? Right? Or what would
Hmm.
and so you just hold on to it or you put, it's like a little memory box or something, you can make it meaningful or whatever. But maybe you write a letter to yourself 12 months from now and you open it on next year's birthday. And did you manifest? Did you get up to? Did you experience more of what was important to you at that birthday through that year?
Wow, that's good. That's good. On one of my birthdays, I wrote like my mission, like
Oh,
my life's mission. It's a whole freaking page, by the way. I didn't know at the time that you could get a little more succinct with these concepts and, might want to dial it down a few notches. I still have it. It's posted
wow.
on the wall inside of this closet behind me because I came
Wow.
across it when I was moving into this house. I was like, check me out. And I
Yeah.
read it and I was like, I still am the same person, only better.
Mm.
Like I really was going through some shit at that time. And it was
Mm.
so powerful for me to really spend the energy on myself in that moment, reconnecting with myself and getting clear around a lot of things. And it's
Mhm.
cool now, I don't know, 25
Yeah.
years or however many later. Definitely it's over 25 years ago.
Wow.
I'll have to look and see
Wow.
if the date's on it and be like, what the heck?
That's so
These are
awesome.
cool little fun ideas we're throwing at the audience today. Check
Uh,
this out.
hells yeah.
Dropping some bombage.
And
Hey.
And hey, if you're listening to this point, it's time to act, right? So all the listening aside, what are you going to do with this, right? So what's
Yeah.
you had a question that you wanted to inspire them with. So if all the activities, actions, whatever list, that we've been throwing out, but what's one thing you want to prompt them with?
Yeah. Well, two things now. Um, First of all, I want them to consider this as a question, or I would say an assignment that I have recently done and I just want to share. It's been incredibly rewarding to me, but basically make a list of the people who matter,
Hmm.
the people who matter. It is going to blow you away
Mhm.
because you think the people that matter are the ones that you maybe on the daily or weekly, they're in your sphere, they're touching you in some way, shape, or form. They're somehow having an impact on you. You think that those are the ones that matter. That's rarely the case. I'm not saying there isn't a few people in that bubble that matter, but outside of that, beyond that, in the bigger, broader sense of your life,
Mhm.
your lifetime on this planet, said human, there are so many people that matter that have had incredible impacts on you, and you've lost connection with them. You've lost sight of them. You've lost touch. Or maybe it's family members, maybe it's old friends, maybe it's old mentors or old classmates. I mean, I have some dear old friends from school. I'm sure you do too. It's like, I want to know those little troublemakers. Got to
Mm.
find out.
That's
And that's really a fun thing to do because it will remind you of pieces of yourself in your life that maybe you hadn't thought about lately, right?
mm,
But it
right.
also helps you reconnect to your own values and why you shared this precious life with those people and how
Mhm.
you would want to continue sharing this precious life with those people. And the last thing you'd want to do is get a phone call and find out they're not around anymore and you
Yeah.
didn't get a chance to have that conversation. So,
Yeah.
don't live with that regret. So that's a big assignment that I want to put out there right now.
I love it. So write a list
Make
of
the
who,
list
make the list of who
and
matters.
slow by slow,
Yeah.
start reaching out.
Yeah. Give yourself 12 months if you have to.
Exactly.
Okay, whatever it takes. Just know what the list includes. And it would be helpful just to have that list around, right? Like that's why I make these lists, is so that I can look back at them. I have this book that I have special notes to myself and things that I like enjoy, just they light me up. And when I have little moments, I can go in and go just little giddy things, like things,
Yeah.
notes that I write to myself or lists that what makes it special, my life special and stuff. And then you get inspired, like, oh, because if you don't know, you're just sort of, like I said, smearing through life, bumping along right now. And it's funny you mentioned about getting back together with friends. So my college roomies, thank you, Facebook, many years ago, we all reconnected and we started having a trip to a girlfriend's cabin that we would do. This was probably almost 10 years ago now.
Mm.
So almost on the every summer we would do that. And then we started doing an Airbnb. And that's actually coming up in a couple weeks. So thank you for reminding me. And it's a great, yeah, just
There you go.
get together with those friends.
There you
So,
go.
and it doesn't have to be that, what is your thing, right? Some people it's animals, some people it's art, some people it's music, some people it's epic adventures, right? But knowing what lights you up, turns you on, and making sure that it's a part as a gift to yourself for the year ahead. I love
Well,
it.
to me, there's two buckets, right? There's like the things you want to be getting up to,
Yeah.
and there's the people
Mm,
you want to get in touch with that matter, right?
mm,
And so if you have these lists and once a week you do one thing on each of the lists, reach out this week to one person,
mhm.
do one fun little thing. I mean, the radical improvement in your experience called living,
Yeah.
it's quite tremendous by something so incredibly simple.
Yeah, I mean, we'll make more appointments to clean our house or get our car cleaned or, go do whatever, like grocery, go to the movies, Netflix, whatever. But like
Yeah.
people that matter. So yeah, just this is your reminder.
But here's the
Remember,
real assignment.
oh,
Plan your birthday party.
yeah.
Hello, plan your birthday party.
Mm.
So mine's Friday, yours could be just passed and it wasn't great or whatever. No judgment. So you have a year to plan. That's fine. But
Yeah.
like that's also a cool thing to be thinking about is like how to use your birthday as a way to take back your life.
Celebrate you. I had a friend when she
Celebrate
turned
you.
40, she did 40 days of 40. So for 40
Oh,
days,
that's fun.
every day she did, it amounted to all whatever was up. I didn't even know what they all were, but
Sure.
she took 40. She's like, I'm stretching this thing out. She's like, this is important. I think she maybe started 20 days before and 20 days after. So it was 40 of 40. And
Mhm.
it was just little micro celebrations of her, whatever was important. And it wasn't, she quit her job and whatever. It was like she just, had a special lunch with her son, or coffee with a friend, or she took herself out on a pretty date, whatever.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Yeah, it's just an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity to make some considerations, to reflect,
mm,
to make some small changes. I have one friend, it was her birthday, and she cut off her hair. She went from long to short. Like she did all these kind of radical things, but she was like, reboot, baby.
yeah,
And I was like, damn, the girl is on fire. It
right.
was so fun to be part of that and kind of bear witness. And I was like, I like it.
Yeah, maybe it's time for a big pivot, maybe it
Maybe
is
it's
time
time for a big
pivot
pivot.
and utilize it. For you got the go permission from us. Like you don't need a permission slip, but you got it. Just do it and have
Yeah,
fun with it, right? Like, and give
yeah.
yourself that permission because it's your life, damn it. So,
Own it.
all right. Anything else?
Just pour love on it, baby. Just pour love on it.
Yeah, yeah. Happy birthday to you, sister. I'm so
Thank you.
excited. Yeah, for you. And mine's in about a month, so maybe we'll have some more things to talk about and reflect on birthday month, if you will. So,
Okay, let's
what
do
do
it.
you want to help them remember about themselves and about life and all things?
Telling all the beautiful humans. Did you know I could sing?
Not until now.
How your life looks is not important, but how your life feels is.
Yeah. And remember, every day is your opportunity to find your awesome.